Hi, welcome back. I'm Amy Dean. I'm with Save the Wild Chinchillas, and I'm trying to hide these controls. There we go. This is our 6th lecture or talk on wildlife, and we're going to talk today about home range and migration and movement in animals. This is brought to you by the Tulsa Zoo and ZGAP. So home range, it's the core area. It's where the animal spends most or all of its time. And the home range is really usually defined by, can the animal travel across this area easily in a short amount of time? So what we're looking at here is a map of the mountainside. And you can't tell it's the map of a mountainside, but here's one puya, or puya 2, 3, 1, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8's over there, 7, 6, 5, and 4. And what I've done is I've mapped out where these puyas are on the mountainside. And then at each entrance to those puyas, where we saw an opening where animals are going in and out, we placed a smoke card to figure out what animals were going in and out of each puya. And what we found is we're going to look at these squares because they're easiest to understand on this, the easiest to see. It's not a very good scan. I tried it 3 or 4 different times. I couldn't get it to scan better. So where these squares are juvenile chinchillas here at puya 12, at puya 2, and at puya 8. And if we look at these, we know that chinchillas move on an average about 25 to 50 meters at the most away from their home burrow, or their in this case puya. Other chinchillas are living in rock crevices, and we know that this is about 100 meters away. So this here would be the core area activity for these chinchillas at puya 12, and then puya 2 has about this area for its core area. And then this one here has this area. And in those core areas are all the habitat, what it needs to survive and live. It's got shelter, cover, food. Animals, once this animal in puya 12 goes over to this area here, maybe it's not as familiar. And so it's more likely to die because it doesn't know what the dangers are there, where the predators are there, what other animals are there. The chinchillas are very territorial, and they will defend their areas, and they will kill each other. We know that happening in the wild. I think I talked about that in another video. So territorialism means occupancy and spacing of homes and defending that area. That's its territory. And then it will defend those, some animals, not all, but most of them will, not even most, I can't say that. Lots of animals defend their territory. And in some species, the males will stake out a home territory around the start of the breeding season. You'll see this with birds. The males will be singing or performing different rituals to attract a female. And that male will defend its area against all other males. And if it succeeds in attracting a female, the two will mate and nest in his territory. And if another male tries to invade the territory, he'll make sure the other male knows that he's there by singing, usually with birds. So we also have animal groupings, and some species show a strong tendency towards social aggregation. And in the background here, we have some octodon degus, and they live in groupings. And there's usually a couple female mothers with offspring living in an area, maybe one male in that area. Sometimes you can find an entire population in one herd during migrations or other times during the year breeding. Sex and age segregation is common. It's also found in marine mammals. You'll see this in chimpanzees, the young male groups, and also in guanacos, I believe. They'll have male groupings of young juveniles. And then large social aggregations are found in open areas, with smaller ones found in forest or brush. So you'll have large groupings in open terrain like savannas, where you'll see great herds of different species during their migrations, looking for those different water holes for that resource that they need. Movement. Now, dispersal is a movement, and it can include leaving an area and coming into an area. So immigration is coming in, and immigration is exiting an area. And that's a way to remember that exit. Dispersal can have a major consequences for a population, especially those animals going into an area. If a lot of animals disperse into an area, that can increase that population. So immigration means moving into an area. Immigration means with the I. Immigration means moving out of a previously occupied area. That's that E. And sometimes there's wandering. A species means the adult will leave their current home, wander to a new area, and establish a new home range. Sometimes it'll just wander around and then go back to where it was at, and we don't know why. Migration is a two-way movement within areas normally occupied by a species population. And we often, the easiest way to look at these are the bird migrations, the spring and fall migrations for many birds from North America to South America or other areas. We're going to talk about North and South America because that's where the chinchillas are. And lots of those bird species migrate from Chile to North America or back and forth. And they have these on paths that are called flyways. It's a normal path they take. And I think there's 4 of them that from North and South America that you can look up on a map. So this is a normal movement. It'll come to one area for the summers and fall, springish area, breed, and then they'll go to another area during the winter the reason it's going back and forth is because it's using 2 different areas where it has all the habitat requirements it needs to survive. You'll also see this going up and down on mountains with species that live on mountains. You'll see a seasonal shifts up and down the mountains. For the chinchillas, I don't have enough data. I've tried to do this, and I think maybe there's a little bit of a migration, but I can't really say for sure. Migration is traveling from one habitat to the next and then back to the first. The guanacos do this, except that once in Alco, we had a guanaco, and maybe he was wandering around. We don't know. He didn't stay. He's only been there maybe twice in the last 20 years have I heard of a guanaco being in that area. Migration permits a population to take advantage of food and shelter provided in an area that's only seasonally habitable. It can only live in that area for a season, and then it goes to the next season where it's winter and summer seasons, and it'll migrate between those 2. Males will usually respect other males, and if they don't, fighting is likely and can lead to death. Resident males will drive off intruders. With the chinchillas, you'll also have the females doing this. Territorialism can serve as a mechanism to prevent overcrowding of a habitat. So if there's only so much habitat that can only support so many individuals of that species. So a way when it starts to get overcrowded, when that stress starts to happen, you'll have territorialism will start to become a little bit more active than normal, and it'll drive out some of the species. Territorial behavior and dispersal operate to hold densities at a certain level, sometimes referred to as a saturation point, because above that point, animals are going to die. Nomadism, and this is irregular long distance movement that animals experience, and that is going, and they're going from one area to another, and these are often influenced by rainfall, fires, and the consequent availability of new grasses or new food sources. And that is the end of our lecture for the day. Thank you.